Hey everyone, and welcome to another Game Explained discussion. I'm your host, Derrick, and I'm joined today by Ash Paulson to discuss our time with Kingdom Hearts 2.8, specifically a Fragmentary Passage and back cover. So let's get started. Alright Ash, so we've had time to play through Kingdom Hearts 2.8. You actually are still working through Dream Drop Distance. I haven't had a chance to really touch that yet, but I have been able to play through Aqua Story, which is a Fragmentary Passage, as well as watch the movie, which is back cover and based on Kingdom Hearts Unchained Key. And I thought we'd get together and sort of give our thoughts, because really this is our first taste of new Kingdom Hearts since Dream Drop Distance was originally released, and I guess to a lesser extent Unchained Key was released on mobile titles. So I thought it'd be fun to discuss it, and fair warning, we are going to get into spoiler territory down the line. We'll do a warning before we get into the nitty-gritty of the spoilers, but yeah, we're going to be talking spoilers in this. So, Ash, what'd you think?
Well, first of all, what I think is, how has it been 5 years already since Dream Drop Distance?
Oh my god.
I cannot. It's been that long? How? I think it is. Yeah, I think it's been about 5 years.
Here's the thing. I specifically remember, like, getting my 3DS and playing through it, and one of the first games I played on my 3DS was Dream Drop Distance.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I took advantage of the 3D and I enjoyed it, and I had fun with it, and it definitely has its moments and it shines, but I still think Birth by Sleep is my favorite in the series.
Yeah, no, me too. Birth by Sleep is my favorite, and as such, Birth by Sleep 0.2, wow, absolutely worth the wait. I wish I wasn't saying that 3 hours of new gameplay after 5 years was absolutely worth the wait, because that's a little insane if you think about that return, the time investment versus the return we're getting. But, for what it is, this 3 hours of new gameplay, new story content, it's just absolutely everything I've been waiting for as a Kingdom Hearts fan. Like, ever since Nomura teased 0.2 as like a possible thing they're going to do down the line, now, seeing how it has delivered, absolutely worth the wait.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I pretty much agree. It's a good taste of what could be happening in Kingdom Hearts 3, because the battle system felt good, the exploration was fantastic, like just jumping all around these areas, especially the first one. I feel like I forget the official name, but the Cinderella portion of the demo, or not demo.
Yeah, the cat, is it like the... it's not Enchanted Dominion, that's Sleeping Beauty.
The Cinderella one.
It's the Cinderella world.
That one, like, there's a lot of exploration. You could go wherever. There's things to search for, and it was kind of intricate, and I liked just exploring it. And the others got a little bit more linear as you went on, but they were still fun in their own ways, and there were still places to look and explore and check things out. And that's I felt what was sorely missing from Kingdom Hearts 2 when I first played that. There was just no exploration. It was room to room, just fight a bunch of Heartless. And the gameplay was great, but I missed that sort of platforming exploration element. And fortunately, it looks like they learned that lesson. They're going to have a better integration of the two systems with 3, at least based off 0.2.
It does seem like that. Also because, you can include Dream Drop Distance in that conversation, which, Dream Drop Distance had more of a kind of a focus on exploration, too. Some of those treasure chests were really hidden away in really kind of tiny random nooks and crannies. So taking that and 0.2 together, I think it's safe to say that Kingdom Hearts 3 will have not just running from room to room, fighting Heartless and nobodies and what have you, that there will be some exploration of these worlds. Might be a little larger than what we're traditionally used to from the other numbered entries in the series.
Yeah, absolutely. And can I just say, visually, this game is freaking gorgeous.
Right.
Like,
oh my god.
Each world pops, and the Heartless stand out. There's some really interesting designs at play. Magic. I have never used magic so much in my life, and going off that a little bit, I really have to credit the challenge system, I think it is, or the objective system that's in this game, where they have 51 different objectives that you can do. Some of them more specific, some of them are kind of like defeat so many enemies with this magic spell, defeat so many enemies with this magic spell, or pull off this trick. And my god, that is so addictive. Like trying...
Oh, completely. I love trying to fill out all the objectives. That's a great new addition. I really hope that specifically comes back for Kingdom Hearts 3. Mm-hmm. And on that note, I'm going to go out and say it. I really like the wardrobe option. You know, I have to hand it to Square. They really could have gone beefcakey with this, with Aqua. They really could have used it as a chance to really make it beefcakey, and they didn't. You know, yeah, she has the cat ears, the mini ears, but they're just kind of cute and silly. Mm-hmm. And other stuff, the other stuff you can equip on her, like the wings and the arm guards, and they're actually really cool looking.
Yeah, they do. They make you stand out. Like, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, that's neat, but I probably won't use it because it just sort of feels distracting. But no, when I actually got into it and saw the additions, like, no, these are actually kind of cool. They're not just all silly. And you can really get in depth with how much you change up her look. And it's really nuts. And I did change her traditional one, and it actually made me realize that her like base outfit is just that sort of one piece, almost swimsuit type thing.
You with like the half skirt.
Exactly. And then just have some cloth hanging off of her. Otherwise, like, I never fully realized that about her design.
Right. No, and I really like all the different skirt patterns you can unlock. Like, it's kind of cool just how all in on they went on this kind of appearance or clothing customization thing, and I think I've heard that they're considering bringing that back for Kingdom Hearts 3. Like, I hope this isn't just Aqua only. I would love to accessorize like Sora as well in Kingdom Hearts 3. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially since one of the rewards, I think it was the original Kingdom Hearts, it might have been 2, where you could get like a crown for Sora after completing some objective.
I think that was, I can't remember how you get it, but I think it was Kingdom Hearts 2. I think you're right. Was it only Final Mix, though?
It might have been, but yeah, just having
I
that
think
little
it was
crown.
Final Mix only. Yeah, I think you had to like do everything in the game to get that or something.
It was, kind of ridiculous, but it was just that little extra touch. And like I said, because of that objective system, I was using magic so much more often, and the spells are impressive as all get out.
They look amazing, and I really have to give a special mention to Thundaja, that like level 4 thunder spell, because that kind of sting visual effect that you get at the end of the Thundaja spell looks so cool. Like, everything kind of has this electrified kind of stingy look to it. And God, Square, it's been said before, but their mastery of just hardware in terms of the visuals they're able to put out, they always impress me so much.
Yeah, it really just wow.
Yeah,
and going back to I really just have to use the objective system to bounce off so many other things, because like when you're going through the Snow White portion and you're traveling along this linear fashion, one of the objectives is find 7 like jewels, like special crystals. And even though it was a straight path, I really had to look sometimes, and you had to really use some of the puzzles, like that mirror puzzle. Lining them up in that very specific spot so you can actually reach the jewels. That was so clever. That's a level of puzzle that, it's not amazing or anything by other standards, but for Kingdom Hearts, that's quite the puzzle.
Yeah, there's more to interact with, and more to actually, more you can do to actually shape and not customize, but change the world around you to move ahead than there was in previous Kingdom Hearts games. Like, I feel like they're really giving you more to interact with and actually do, and it's not just running through these Disney-inspired locations and fighting Heartless. Mm-hmm.
And it was sort of interesting to get these locations and see what they were all about. And we'll get into the story later, but they do give a reason for why you're going through Cinderella's castle and a Snow White world and Sleeping Beauty's world and whatnot. Not only callbacks to Birth by Sleep, which I really like, but also like an actual reason for why they're in this state. And it was just a sort of a fascinating study. But before we get into the spoilers, is there anything else that you wanted to, like, just really stood out about the game to you?
Yeah, I really like the command styles. I like that whole system. I like the idea that depending on the commands you use during battles, that you'll unlock different style changes to transform into for a limited period of time. So I really like that style, and it was obviously made it very easy to get the style that you wanted a lot of the time, which is cool. Mm-hmm. I also really just I like seeing shot lock return. I wish there was more than one shot lock to use, but I really am glad that's returning, and I'm looking forward to seeing all the different shot locks they're going to have in Kingdom Hearts 3, because my God, they look cool.
Yes.
In 0.2.
Absolutely. It did offer this glimpse of how they're going to take the systems that were in Birth by Sleep, and they were such good systems. I love the battle system of Birth by Sleep, and integrate them into the sort of typical gameplay style of Kingdom Hearts, of the regular Kingdom Hearts games, the main series titles, where you do have Goofy and all of that. And I really hope Sora has these abilities, or can access these at some point, because they're just so fun to use. They make each fight engaging, and you're constantly trying to pull things off, and you can just sort of mold the fight to however you want it based on your own play style and what you want to do for that particular battle. It was great.
I think it's safe to say that, like, Sora, I mean, what we're seeing now obviously is just a preview. Aqua feels like Aqua did in Birth by Sleep, and that's cool because, you know, she felt like that, but even more powerful, and I really like playing as Aqua. But I feel like Sora is going to be like, you know, just think of what Sora was like at the end of Kingdom Hearts 2, you know, like, so take that and transplant that into Kingdom Hearts 3's engine, and, you know, with all the new stuff he's going to learn in 3, he's going to be, like, imagine all the different combat options you're going to have as Sora by the end of the game. Like, he's going to be crazy strong.
I'm so looking forward to that.
Me too.
Powered up Sora is the best because you just feel so amazing, so powerful. And I'm pretty much looking forward to it. Actually, before we get to, because I do feel like this is going to be a praise fest, is there anything that sort of you didn't like about the game that sort of made you have any worries or pauses?
I mean, nothing so bad that it like gave me pause. Like, there's really nothing that Kingdom Hearts anything could do to give me pause on Kingdom Hearts 3. Like, I mean, I just cannot wait for it no matter what. I will say that it's been interesting playing that and Dream Drop Distance HD side by side, because I think in some ways Dream Drop Distance, the battles actually feel a little more, I guess, just that you have more options, there's a little more you can do. I feel like overall the combat's a little basic in 0.2, and I think that's because it's obviously, you know, for most intents and purposes, is a Kingdom Hearts 3 prototype as well. Yeah. So, you know, in Dream Drop Distance, it feels a lot more polished and fleshed out. Like, you've got the flow motion attacks, and you've got different combos you can do, and all the different abilities. You know, like, there's so many different abilities you can make in that game. Whereas in 0.2, I feel like you've got the same basic combo, a few command styles, and it's a lot of fun. It just isn't quite as beefy and fleshed out as a full game's combat would be. Yeah. So, you know, the only thing I would say is, yeah, the battles or the combat system feels a little half-baked. But again, it's not even a full game, so I understand why.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. It will only take you 3 hours to beat the main story of this game.
Right.
And, you know, there's more to do after that, but the main thrust of it is only 3 hours. And because of that, it doesn't have the opportunity to really flex its muscles with what it can do, because you're right, by the end I really had seen everything that it had to offer multiple times over, although they did throw in a nice curveball at the end there. They did change up things and how they played, but I don't think it was quite enough to really change everything up, but it was still, you know, fun. But I'd agree that that's probably the only major setback to it. Otherwise I'm having trouble thinking of any real complaints about it.
I would say I have one more, and that is that I feel that and this is probably because they're a work in progress, but I feel that the character models are not quite as polished as they usually are. Like, it's funny, in all the cut or the flashbacks to Birth by Sleep, I'm like, oh wow, I miss those character models. They actually look better than some of how Aqua looks here. Like, you can tell that they're still trying to get these, you know, these more detailed character models down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a few bits here and there. I still think it looked really good, and like it was an impressive update, because you're going from essentially a PSP game to PS4, and that's a hell of a jump.
No, exactly. What's interesting is that it really only concerned like Aqua and Terra. Like, I thought, well, Ven doesn't do a whole lot, but he looked fine, and I thought Sora in his Kingdom Hearts 3 model looked fantastic. Mm-hmm. I love Sora's look, but there's just something a little off to me about Aqua and Terra in some scenes where I'm like, I don't know about your models, but Sora looks really good.
Yeah, you have the feeling that they have his model down. They're just trying to figure out how to do all the others, and we'll see how that goes. But I have faith. I don't know how long it's going to take to get this game. Like, I am crossing my fingers it's going to be a 2018 release.
I hate that we're even saying that because I'm starting to think it's not going to even be 2018. Like, it sounds like they're really not even that... Like, they're far along, but they still have a long way to go.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about Nomura, and I'm like, I love this man. Like, I love his vision, I love his ideas, I love that he brought us Kingdom Hearts, but he's not a closer. He just is not a closer, and he needs someone like Tabata or somebody else at Square to rein him in, because I just feel like he has all these ideas and he's such a visionary, but he just doesn't know when to stop, and he just doesn't know when to say, okay, enough is enough. I have all these other cool things I could put into this game, but the fans have been waiting now 10 years. 10 years since Kingdom Hearts 2. Mm-hmm. And I feel like at some point he just needs to learn how to be like, okay, enough is enough. These can go into the next game. We have to ship, you know?
Yeah. One would hope that they do that at some point, because...
Seriously.
Come on. Because here's the thing. They can't delay anymore. This is it.
Yeah.
Like...
I mean, they've literally made a game called Kingdom Hearts 2.8. I mean, they could make 2.9, but that's really... It's about as far as they can go.
Yeah, I'm going to call it here, and here's your spoiler warning, guys. We're going to go all out from this point on, so
yeah,
keep an eye out. We're obviously enjoyed it, and we can't really get into back cover without talking spoilers, so that's how it goes. But yes, this game leads directly into Kingdom Hearts 3. It ends with Sora going to the Hercules world, which we saw in all the previews. It's like... Yeah. There's nothing they can do. Everything is sort of laid out there, you know?
Exactly. Like, what could they possibly, unless they want to do like a, Kingdom Hearts 0.1, whatever, based on Ventus and what he's dreaming about this whole time where he's knocked out.
Yeah.
After Birth by Sleep.
Or maybe a really side game where you play as Kairi and Axel and they're training.
Yeah, but I mean, really, it like you said, the story leads directly into Kingdom Hearts 3. I don't see how they could go anywhere else but straight into 3 from here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it has to be at this point, and that's the thing. Since they can't keep people at bay with these spin-offs or remasters or anything else, they have to release the game at this point. They're fine for 2017, but something has to come out for 2018. You can't do this anymore. It really is the point. But as far as storyline, I loved how neatly this slotted into the mythos of Kingdom Hearts, and that's saying something for Kingdom Hearts, because they don't always squeeze in neatly.
No, they really don't. And I have to say, as someone who is absolutely obsessed with Kingdom Hearts 1's ending back in the day, and I just replayed that ending so many times because there's such an element of mystery to it. I feel like even now, because they hadn't necessarily had that story roadmap planned out at that point, they just made the one game. I feel like there was a lot of mystery surrounding what exactly happens in Kingdom Hearts 1's ending and where it happens, where that door to darkness is, where that door to Kingdom Hearts is, and I feel that 0.2's ending absolutely finally contextualized all that. After all these years, now Kingdom Hearts 1's ending makes so much more sense in the grand scheme of things, of where it slots in and how it happens, and I love that you see, or that Aqua sees Riku running to close the door mere moments before the ending of Kingdom Hearts 1's ending happens, and it all slots in so well.
Totally. She once again, she sacrifices herself, stays in the darkness just so Riku has that chance to help and protect him, and she's basically renews herself as I am the light in the darkness. I will help those who end up here. Just trying to do anything. And I was very curious where this is going to lead because we see at the end of Birth by Sleep's special ending post Kingdom Hearts 2 where she meets up with Ansem the Wise on that beach.
Right.
And it was is it going to be after that? Is it going to be before that? I wasn't sure. And then she started talking about worlds disappearing. I'm like, oh my god, this is during Kingdom Hearts 1 where all those worlds were already destroyed. That's why she's going through, Cinderella, Snow White, and Sleeping Beauty again. And then, the final world is just the dark, the dark world and fighting off all of the dark sides and everything else. It's that's so cool.
That was really cool. It took me a minute to figure out where or when exactly this was all supposed to be happening, because I was really thrown for a second when Aqua first meets Mickey, and Mickey's like, or the Heartless attack them, and she's like, denizens of darkness, and Mickey's like, they're called Heartless, and I'm like, well, duh, I mean, of course they're called Heartless, and then it hit me.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, of course, she doesn't know what a Heartless is.
Yeah, she's fought them, but she doesn't know what they're all about. She doesn't know anything about them. They're just the denizens of darkness, and that's such a cool attention to detail, because you wouldn't think about it, but then you're like, oh yeah, that is a thing. And meeting up with Mickey, I gotta say though, I got a huge laugh when they explained why Mickey didn't have a shirt in the ending of Kingdom Hearts 1.
Oh, I know, that was hilarious, right?
Because they didn't have a
good.
design, they just sort of had him in his typical outfit, and so I was like, oh right, we gotta get his shirt off.
And on that note, the one part of like this slotting into the ending that of Kingdom Hearts 1 that I didn't think quite worked, and it's a minor thing, but obviously the voice of Mickey Mouse has changed since Kingdom Hearts 1, and when they slot in that "there's always a door to the light, Sora" scene, he sounds so different than he does right before that, and just like in the previous scene, his voice has gotten so much deeper now.
Yeah,
and it sounded so much higher pitched and lighter in that one scene they took from Kingdom Hearts 1, and I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, they've had to unfortunately try to make things work in that way, but it's been interesting. Did Terra's voice actor change? I never looked it up, but he sounded different from what I remember.
I don't believe so. I think they're all the same.
Okay.
I think, well, Ven we wouldn't know, but I know Aqua's the same, and I believe Terra is the same as well.
Okay. I didn't look it up myself, but it felt a little different, but I wasn't sure. It still sounded fine.
And I will say, I mean, props to Square for getting Aqua's voice actress back. Like, I'll be straight up, I don't really think she's the best actress. I don't think she's really all that good, but she does well enough in the scenes where she really needs to emote. But more than that, even if she's not the best actress, I appreciate the continuity. So I'm glad that they didn't change and pick someone else just because she might be technically better. I mean, maybe there's an argument for that, but continuity goes a long way in series like this with long-running stories, and it was really nice after all these years to hear Aqua voiced by the same woman.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of complaints about Aqua's voice acting, and I hear it, but I also that's her voice to me.
Exactly. I know exactly what you mean.
I feel like she does handle the emotional scenes really well. Like, because Aqua goes through a lot of introspection in this game.
Yeah,
like
she's really emo in this game.
Yes, understandably so. She
has reason to be.
Yeah, she's been wandering in the darkness for 10 years. That is no concept of time or anything like that. Just sort of fighting, and it's crazy to think that she's had to do that long. And I actually like how there was this omnipresent, like, bad guy throughout the entire thing with that swarm of Heartless. Like, that was that final swarm. Like, and it's actually pretty freaking tough.
It is. And it's so cool looking, too. Like, what a cool looking boss. And I love that team up. Like, you finally, at the end, when you're fighting with Mickey, you get that Wayfinder command style, which is all new. And you do these badass combo attacks with Mickey against this, giant swarm of Heartless. And I'm like, this is the coolest thing. I mean, when you go back and think about Kingdom Hearts 2 and you think about the final battle in that game, and you think about how Nomura is so good at building these incredibly dramatic set-piece battles, and I'm like, man, this is just 0.2. Imagine what the final battle is going to be like with Xehanort in a Kingdom Hearts 3. It's going to be insane.
Yeah, it really will. And I just, like, that's so cool, and I just love all these nods, like her ending up on Destiny Islands, her talking with Mickey about that sort of thing, why they got split up, because those were legitimate questions I had, is like, how is this going to work? And they pretty much answered every question I had about why she was still there, why they weren't able to rescue her. Although we should question why Mickey was like, it hasn't mentioned this up till now, but that's sort of just the problem, like what happens when you have serialized storytelling like this and you don't have the full story plotted out, but whatever. And it was just a really solid experience, especially for longtime fans and fans that were, that enjoy Birth by Sleep and the original Kingdom Hearts, especially.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And it told a much, and of course it's only 3 hours long, so that might have something to do with it, but it told a much more cohesive story in a much clearer way than all of Dream Drop Distance. Like, and I still like Dream Drop Distance a lot, but that story, even going through it the second time, even though I know what's going to happen and I know what they're building up to, I'm like, man, this story's weird. Whereas 0.2, you know, like it really, yeah, you have to go in knowing a lot about the series and knowing about the timeline. But if you do, it really does slot in neatly and it's really rewarding. Whereas Dream Drop Distance, I feel like you can go in knowing everything about the story and still be like, what the hell is this game even trying to tell me right now?
Yeah. And so what did you think, you know, we covered all of Aqua, but what did you think about their setup for Kingdom Hearts 3? Because we have established that Riku and Mickey are going to try to find a way to rescue Aqua. They're going to try to find a way back to the World of Darkness. Kairi is going to be training with Axel with Merlin.
Which Yen said.
No, I thought he said Merlin was handling their training.
Oh, did he? Oh, I thought it was Yen Sid doing it directly. My bad.
Yeah, I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure they said Merlin. But
okay,
either way, so those two are going to be training as Keyblade wielders, and then Sora, of course, getting sent off because he failed, and they hammer that in that he failed Dream Drop Distance, and is going off to try to learn how to become a hero again because he failed and failed so hard at the end there, where he basically lost all of his abilities from Kingdom Hearts 2 and Dream Drop Distance. So,
which that's the part I'm not really a big fan of. Like,
yeah, like
I feel like they went too far. And the thing that bothered me, and as a fan of the character Sora, I really like him. It wasn't his fault. Mm-hmm. Yen Sid was the one who screwed that up. Like, I get that he didn't get the ability of waking. He didn't technically pass the Mark of Mastery. I get that that's you either pass or you don't. No matter whose fault it is, that's fine that he didn't pass. But to then go so much further and to like repeatedly lambast Sora for failing, and now he's lost all his powers from Kingdom Hearts 2, and now he's basically has to start again from ground one or square one. I'm like, really? And again, it wasn't even his fault. Like Yen said, he let Sora go off the map, essentially. Mm-hmm. So if anyone should be tested for the Mark of Mastery, it should be Yen Sid. It's like, come. So I don't know. Like I feel like they went too far with Sora. Like
a little bit. There's a running theme in Kingdom Hearts. I'm not sure if it's intentional or not, where masters don't always seem to know the best.
Yeah.
We have three masters with Yen Sid, Ericus, and the Master of Masters, which we'll get to in due time. And all three of them are like, are we sure they actually know what they're doing? Because it seems a little off. The only master that seems to know what they're doing is Aqua.
That's true. And I mean, and I guess, they are building up this hero's journey thing. So obviously at the end of it all, we know that Sora's going to go from square one to the most powerful character in the series. We know that's what they're building up to, and that's what they should be. Mm-hmm. I will say that as much as I didn't like that, I do like that they're finally refocusing everything on Sora, because for a while there, I'll admit, it got a little too, it came too close to falling into the Mega Man X trap of making the side character or the sidekick the main character for a while. Mm-hmm. And so for a while there, they were making Riku the main character and kind of focusing on him more than Sora. And I like Riku, but Sora is who I want to see beat Xehanort. Sora is who I want to see rescue Aqua. Sora is like the guy here, and I'm glad that 3 is really finally bringing the focus back onto him.
And I can understand why they would focus on Riku for a while. They needed to redeem his character more than anything else, because he was not very likable in the original. You kind of understood where he's coming from, but he was super emo in Kingdom Hearts 2. And of course, with Dream Drop Distance, that's that's getting his character back from the redeemed.
And Chain of Memories, like those two. I feel like Chain of Memories and Dream Drop Distance are really like Riku's. They're really his redemption games.
Yes, absolutely. And I gotta say, from a storytelling perspective, it's kind of cool how they had this just a natural reason to go to Hercules' world, because hey, here's a hero that lost his power and needed to redeem it. That's what I need to do. Let's do that. And that gives me hope for the future worlds, where Sora actually has more of a reason to visit these worlds. Just like, hey, do you guys know where Riku is? Hey, we need to actually just close this world off from the Heartless and protect it. An actual thematic reason behind it. And that's what I'm sort of missing, because I feel like the storytelling is a little stronger in the Disney worlds in the original Kingdom Hearts than Kingdom Hearts 2, because there was character development for Sora, Donald, and Goofy in each of the worlds in the original Kingdom Hearts.
Right, and 2 is just kind of like an episodic, like, okay, let's go see what happens in this world, and then we're going to see what happens in this world, but by the end of those worlds, they haven't necessarily learned anything.
Yeah.
Or evolved in any way. So, it does seem, I agree, like, I thought that was kind of cool that they have, like, an organic, character-based reason for them to go back to Olympus Coliseum and train under Hercules again. Because, yeah, like, before it was like, oh, let's just go to Olympus Coliseum because this world is the next one that needs to be saved in the list, you know?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So yeah, I totally agree with you, and I'm curious to see. I'm curious to see what Square One actually means. I wonder if Kingdom Hearts 3 is actually going to literally open with Sora at Olympus Coliseum playing just like he used to in Kingdom Hearts 1 or 2, and then like something happens, and suddenly now we're playing like as this super powerful, well not powerful, but super, like new, more modernized take on Sora's abilities.
Yeah, I guess that is the big question, is where do they start with Kingdom Hearts 3 now? Do they start with Sora already on his way to Olympus Coliseum, or is there some sort of... I guess it makes sense to have Olympus Coliseum be where you, like, do all your tutorials and train up and all that stuff. So Olympus Coliseum could actually work really well for a first world. To just
that's true.
Get players accustomed with everything again, and then just slowly build up and learn everything yet again. And like once you learn all that, you go back to Yen Sid and you get, I don't know, more stuff in that vein. Because I believe I'm blanking on this, but the footage we saw of Olympus Coliseum was Sora in his new outfit or not?
I can't remember.
I can't either.
Yeah.
So
I'd have to go back and look it up.
Yeah. It doesn't matter.
One thing one thing I will say about this setup going into Kingdom Hearts 3 is I know that Riku's the one going, with Mickey to search for a way to save Aqua, but I hope like he makes progress and like can help Sora do what he needs to do, but I want Sora to be the one to save Aqua because and it's all because of that awesome Birth by Sleep ending where it's like they're all saying Sora's name and he's the one who's got to heal the hurt. Again, from Recoded. Mm-hmm. Their hurting will be ended when you return to Mended. That's not Riku, it's Sora. Like, Sora's the one who needs to reach out to all these people in his heart that he's connected to and save them. Aqua especially, because Aqua's the one who, like, officially, like, said, hey, you're like me, and take care of your friend. And it's got to be Sora. Yeah. It has to be.
Yeah, it's really... It's so interesting how they do that. And, even that opening sequence for 0.2, which... just brilliantly animated anyway. It ends with, of course, Sora reaching below the waves to rescue her.
Yeah.
So
so it's got to be Sora doing this.
Yeah,
stuff.
I'm sure it will be. It's just that's a reason. That's the way to just send off Riku and Mickey and not have to worry about them. They're doing right. that, but Sora's the one that ends up actually succeeding.
Exactly.
And finding a way to do whatever he needs to do. That's. It just makes sense in that way, and I'm excited for it. It did its job in the fact that I am super excited for Kingdom Hearts 3.
No, me too. And one of the this is more of a minor thing, but one of the things I'm really glad they're keeping accurate is how much of a scumbag Donald is to Sora. He's such an asshole, isn't he? But I love that. That's Donald.
Yeah, that is totally Donald, and that dynamic between the three of them is just so good.
It's like that last scene in the gummy ship with him and with Sora, Donald, and Goofy. Like that I was just warm watching that. Like I felt all warm and gooey inside because I'm like, this is what at the end of the day, after all the Heartless and Nobodies and Unversed and all the crazy stuff, at the end of the day, this is about Sora, Donald, and Goofy adventuring in various Disney worlds together, and that was what pulled me in originally, and that's what's going to keep me going through.
Mm-hmm. And we pretty much have soft confirmation that the gummy ship is coming back, so...
Yeah,
because
exactly.
We're right there hanging out, and they even have somehow a new way where Sora has some sort of power to open up the paths yet again by chanting the whole "May your heart be your guiding key" phrase they're now introducing.
Yeah.
So, I think that pretty well covers 0.2. It really is just a fantastic prologue, and that's the thing. People make fun of the name, but it does make sense, at least for the overall thing. Kingdom Hearts 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue. This is the final chapter, and 0.2 is the prologue to it. Same with back cover. So
yeah, I mean, it does deliver on that promise. Like, I mean, my wife, she's like, these names are just, I cannot believe they actually name their games these things, and like seriously, unironically, and really released them like that. I'm like, I know, but it's the prologue to the final chapter. She's like, I don't care. This is the stupidest name I've ever heard. I don't care if it actually is.
To be fair, she's right, but
she is totally right. But that's part of what I love. That's one of those things about Square where it's really silly, and they're super pretentious, and they just love themselves with these ridiculous names. But it's Square, and that's what they're known for. It wouldn't be Square if you didn't have a game called Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days. That's just what Square does, and that's I hope they continue to, because it's just silly.
Yeah, it really is. So it's whatever, but
yeah.
So when we get into back cover here, we actually kind of disagree on this one. We haven't fully talked about it yet, but the final piece, other than Dream Drop Distance and 0.2, is Kingdom Hearts Chi back cover, which is the way you can best view this is that we have Unchained Key for your cell phones, which tells the story of 100 years ago, before the worlds were split apart, from the perspective of the Keyblade wielders and the people that were part of all these different factions.
The foretellers.
Yeah, each of the foretellers factions, yes.
Sure, yeah.
And you get to see the story from that perspective. Back cover tells the same story from the foretellers' perspective, and you get a sense of what they were up to while the events of Kingdom Hearts Unchained Key were going on. That's what back cover is all about, and I was sort of confused about how they were going to handle all that, but that is the best way to see it, is that you just slot these scenes in over the course of what goes on in Unchained Key. And as far as I know, because I haven't actually played through all of Unchained Key yet, Unchained Key is only about halfway through with the story of back cover.
Right, which so I guess it kind of picks up around the time when the 5 foretellers start kind of splitting apart and the factions start competing with one another. And I mean, I didn't dislike it. I don't hate back cover or anything. Like it was fun, and I think I enjoyed the hour I spent watching it. I think I view the back cover stuff and all the foreteller stuff very much, or very similar to the Star Wars extended or expanded universe stuff, where it's like you have the core game or the core story, and then you have like all this expanded stuff that they're going to do stuff with later on, and it's cool. I mean, I guess it's fine. I just don't really care. Like, I love the stuff with Lushu and the Master of Masters and whatever's in the box that Lushu's like. That's cool, but like, I don't care about these weirdos wearing animal masks, really. Like, I don't have any. Give me a reason to care about. I don't even. Their names are Ava, and like, I don't even remember their names.
I wrote down their names because I knew them, I knew them after watching it. Like, I knew which ones was which, but it's been like a week and a half since I watched it, so I needed to.
Me too.
Refresh myself.
It's just like, I don't know. I just feel like Nomura has spent so much time focusing on this stuff that I don't care about that it's taken time away from the stuff that I do, which is like Sora, Riku, Kairi, the Heartless, Nobodies, Xehanort, just the main stuff. And it would be like when, I don't know if you watched Lost, but it'd be like when you watch Lost and like you'd have an episode that focused on Nikki and Paolo. It's like these two background characters that nobody cares about, and like you wouldn't, you knew that week you weren't going to get any sort of advancement in the main story, and that's what all of the back cover stuff feels like to me. It's like, okay, this is cool, but I really just want to get back to the main story at hand here. And I think I wouldn't feel that way if it hadn't been 10 years between Kingdom Hearts 2 and 3.
That is perfectly valid. I cannot fault you for feeling that at all.
Yeah.
But in my perspective, looking at this stuff, I got really invested because I was like, who is the traitor? And as you're watching this, because that is a legit mystery, like who is the traitor in all this? And you kept getting these flashbacks to each of the 5 foretellers, and even Luxu, meeting up with the Master of Masters, who is so different from anything I've seen before in Kingdom Hearts, where he's just completely aloof. Like, the best I could compare him to is Braig. And Zigbar, Zigbar,
and Axel, I would say. Kind of remind me of Axel.
Kinda, but I was definitely more in Braig in Birth by Sleep is what I was feeling.
Okay, I can see that. Yeah.
It was just one of those things where he just was so aloof and was just so not care. Just like, that's the way it's gonna be. It's sort of whatever. And then you start getting these flashbacks with each of the 5 main foretellers, with the animal masks, meeting up with them, and he gives each of them their own mission about what they need to do, and each one of them seems designed to make them suspect each other.
Right.
Like, and from what I can tell, none of them are the traitor.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is I think the whole point is there is no traitor. I think the Master of Masters seeded that idea to get them to fight each other, to distress each other, to spark the Keyblade War.
That has to be it. And because there's a whole mystery of, and I actually did kind of like how we got an origin for the I'm blanking on names, but the dreams and nightmares from Dream Drop Distance.
Oh, Dream Eaters.
Yeah, the Dream Eaters and the Nightmares. Yeah. Like, we did get a sort of a nice origin on there, where the Chirithes race from Unchained Key was the originator of that, and then becoming corrupted by darkness is what, of course, makes them nightmares. And here they are in this game, and one Chirithe has been made dark, and like, how did this happen? And that's never answered. We have no idea how that Chirithe went to the dark, which is, of course, what sparks the whole "is this person a traitor" thing. And I was sucked in. I really was. Like, I was like, where's this going to go? And especially, I was intrigued by, like, anytime the Master of Masters was on screen, I was sucked into this story.
No, totally. The Master of Masters is a really interesting new character, and I don't know, like, as I said, I like, as much as I'm not into this whole extended part of the story, like, I did really like the Master of Masters, and it seems to me, I think this stuff will play out to a degree in Kingdom Hearts 3, but it almost seems like they're setting up for this stuff beyond Kingdom Hearts 3, like, that this stuff is going to have more to do with whatever arc begins after Sora's story ends in 3. So it's hard to say.
I disagree.
I
think this is going to have a direct effect on the events of Kingdom Hearts 3, because, we know Xehanort is trying to get his team of 13, has 13 bodies, and we know several of them, but there's some empty spaces, and I gotta say, these 5 could easily slot into there. Although it is a little weird to think of Ava being drawn there, because she was the only one that sort of maintained purity the entire time.
Yeah, and it's weird. Like I said, Ava's the only name I remembered of the 5 foretellers, and like a week and a half later, I couldn't tell you any of their names but hers. But while I was watching back cover, I did get somewhat invested into their stories, and I was able to, obviously, I recognized them all at their voices while I was watching it, and I really did like the way back cover was structured. Like you said, I really liked how we got each of the foretellers flashbacks with the Master of Masters one at a time. So I did like the way it was structured. I feel like Nomura has an uphill battle in terms of convincing me to care about these characters as much as I would all these characters I've been following for 15 years, But Ava's probably the one that I could sympathize with the most. Because I feel like she really was trying to do the right thing. Like you said, she's the one that remained pure. And she's the one who's really trying to make sure they don't all fight each other. So I did care about her.
Yeah, I think even the Master of Masters designed it that way, that she would remain pure, because she had the easiest one. Like, if things are going to fall apart, you need to make this task force of Keyblade wielders to carry on the light. And that's of course, the light of children. And of course, she is the youngest one. And it's like, there's all these threads that connect to other things that happen, and you can just sort of see, like, how sides change, and what, Gula, the leopard thing, he's looking for the traitor, and he has a page that nobody else does, which immediately makes Envy suspicious of him, and Aced is just so upset by him keeping that secret from him that he can't forgive him, and beats the crap out of him despite Aced having the crap beat out of him. And Envy is meant to sow discord between the others, even though she's not meant to, be directly reporting to Ira, who is the leader. And it's like, what kind of game is the Master of Masters playing? And I think that's why it just made me so intrigued by it.
That's true. Although I was going to ask you what the leader's name is, and you said Ira. Mm-hmm. I probably spent a good 80% of back cover just wanting to backhand Ira. Like, I feel like I wanted to reach into the screen and be like, dude, if you just talk to these guys and not if you're just not an asshole for like 5 seconds, like, stop with the Leonardo channeling for like 5 seconds and just be a good guy and like actually talk to these people. Talk to what was the other guy's name? His right-hand man?
Oh, Aced.
Yeah, like, just talk to Aced and be like, hey, man, look, I know we're foretellers, I know we have to be all official, but look, let me level with you. I don't think you did it, and, like, let's just talk. Like, I just feel like if he just had, like, a bro talk with all these guys.
But
none of this would have happened.
Exactly. And that's a lot of times what it comes down to. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
They were so devoted to this master of masters that he was able to,
Right.
what I think, just play them all easily.
Yeah.
And
That's what it seems like. It really does seem like the Master of Masters took advantage of all of them. Like, I don't know if we're supposed to see him as a villain, but he kind of came off that way in a way.
Yeah, it's weird. He comes across as a villain because he sets up this whole traitor aspect of the story. And, but yet he also made sure the salvation aspect was there too. By having Ava do her thing. So that's what makes it so gray. And I tweeted this out soon after I played it, but I really think, like, say what you will about not caring about the characters and want to know more about Sora and all the rest of them. I do think this is the most complex and interesting story Kingdom Hearts has told to date.
Yeah.
Because of those aspects. Because you didn't know who was the good guy. Because you didn't know what who was leading to what. And it's not a complete story, not fully, but it's fascinating in its own way, and that's why I actually really like back cover.
Fair enough. I mean, really, like, even you think this is more complex than everything that's come before? What with all the time travel and the Heartless and the Nobodies and Roxas and Namine and Chain of Memories?
Complex in a way that's understanding.
Sure, it's understandable. That's easy to digest.
Yeah, I mean, it's also.
I see what you mean.
But it's also like, you constantly like, here's the good guy, here's the bad guy. This is what you got to do. Even in Dream Drop Distance, this you never know who's in the right.
Right. No, that's true. That's a good point. Now, how would you feel if they pulled a bait and switch on us, and the Kingdom Hearts 3, the final battle isn't with Xehanort, and you never actually even fight Xehanort, but you fight the Master of Masters? Would you be upset by that, or would you be like, okay?
It depends on how well they set it up. It really comes down to that, because I have a feeling we will end up fighting Xehanort, but it might be like a Ganondorf situation where you thought he was the bad guy the entire time, but no, it was me, and I knew it was going to happen this entire time because of this whole aspect. And I mean, it does set up a legit mystery with Luxu and that damn box.
That's true, and that fascinates me. I do want to know what's in that box. I think I'm just hoping that Kingdom Hearts 3 doesn't turn into like a Final Fantasy IX situation where you spend the entire game, except in this case, it's been the last 15 years across multiple games, being told this one guy is like, he's the cause of it all, he's the evil guy, and they do a great job making you hate him. Like, he's a bad dude, Xehanort. Like, he's a bad hombre. Yeah. So, like, he's a really bad guy. I just don't want them to spend all these games messaging the fact that he's like he's the darkness, he's bad, and then suddenly, oh, nah, you know what, he's just an old man who's gonna, he's whatever. The Master of Masters, this guy's who you really need to fight. And I'm like, no, I want to fight Xehanort. Like, he's the big bad,
Yeah. No, I totally get that. And the thing is, Kingdom Hearts already pulled that off once, where they told you Ansem was the big bad, and that's who you had to worry about. And they was like, no, Ansem was the Heartless of this guy Xehanort.
Right.
And, now we're fighting his nobody. And then you actually see Xehanort in the old one. And God, I miss Leonard Nimoy so much. I'm going to miss having Leonard Nimoy just eat it up as just completely evil as
That's
Xehanort.
heartbreaking.
It
like,
really is.
When I heard about that, like, I remember I even tweeted out and like did a little tribute on social media, because I was like, everyone's talking about like all these different characters. Xehanort, like and Leonard Nimoy is amazing, and Star Trek, Xehanort,
because that's what he's currently doing. His role in Star Trek is over. He's not finished it with Kingdom Hearts, and that's
it's like all respect to Star Trek fans and everything, and this is really sad. But Xehanort, guys, like, he was so good. His voice was perfect.
Yeah, and even the Japanese voice actor passed away for Xehanort. It's so sad. They have to figure out what they're going to do in both languages. It's crazy.
But I mean, that's also that goes back to what I was saying about Nomura not being a closer. The fact that both of his villains, American and Japanese voice actors, passed away while he's making this one final game. That's crazy.
Yeah, just a little bit. And
yeah,
I'm very curious what Luxu's roles in all this is, because these are the first two that wear those black cloaks of the nobodies. Like, what does that mean? Like, we know the cloaks are meant to protect them from darkness. When they go into the world of darkness, that protects them from that.
And the lanes between as they're traveling through.
Yeah, exactly. It's meant as a form of protection, but why do they need it when there is no lanes between and darkness? What is
right? And yeah,
what is Luxu's role? And why does the Master of Masters want to send his eye into the future so he can write down all this stuff? And I do love that bit at the end. It's like, your job is to take this into the future and let me watch over the events and protect this box, but don't open it. By the way, congratulations, you've succeeded because this book is proof that I saw into the future.
Right.
Which, God, that's hilarious to think about. Like, that's time travel done well to me.
It's pretty good, although you have to wonder, is the Master of Masters being truthful? I mean, basically, everything that happens in back cover happens because everyone believes what the Master of Masters is telling them. I mean, yeah, he says the Keyblade War is inevitable, but what if it's only inevitable because it happened because of all the lies he's telling everybody? Like, what if that's the only reason it's inevitable?
Yeah.
Like, we don't know. He might be lying to everybody just to get things to play out the way he wants them to.
Yeah, and we don't even know if they're lies. He just told them to follow these instructions, and they followed those instructions, their own personal instructions for each one. And, they never told each other those instructions, so that's why they couldn't communicate, because they had their own personal reasons for following the Master and doing what he's doing, which is why he comes across as a bad guy. It's so... I love it because he just plays them so much, and I'm wondering why.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I didn't love it like you did, but I thought it was interesting and engaging while I was watching it, and I'm absolutely going to be keeping an eye on what happens beyond. Like, the thing is, I think the reason I'm so frustrated by it is because, it was pretty interesting, but I also know that these questions, if they're answered at all, are going to be answered in Season 2 of Unchained Key, or not even Unchained Key, the browser Japan-only game that's like the other side of Unchained Key. Like, the whole way this has been structured really bugs me. Like, I think the story's cool.
Well, that's the thing. Unchained Key's story in Japan has been finished, and like I said, it is just... from the Keyblade wielder's point of view, the events of back cover. There's nothing more. The browser game is just the precursor, is just Kingdom Hearts Key. Unchained Key is the mobile version. They're not two different ones. They're the same thing. Okay. And so you don't have to worry about missing out on any other story. We're just waiting for Unchained Key to catch up to back cover at this point. And I gotta say, it did make me interested to actually eventually start sitting down and playing through Unchained Key and struggling through that to see what these events look like from the perspective of Keyblade wielder, because we know how it's going to end. Our Keyblade wielder is probably going to be joining Ava at the very end for that special task force.
Right. Well, that's a good point.
So and it's just curious to see how it leads up to that and what happens. Although I will say, even though I haven't played Unchained Key in a while, I'm very happy that the foreteller I chose as my representative was Ava.
Oh man, I can't remember which one. I have to go back and see. I actually have no idea now which one I chose. That's funny.
I will laugh if you chose Ira.
Me too. I hope not. God, he's so Leonardo. Ugh. Yeah, I hope I didn't choose him. God, but yeah, I mean that's true. I guess it's not as much. It's really just waiting on Unchained Key to catch up. And yeah, I mean, and that's fine. I guess I just don't really want to go play. Again, I guess it's just how it's all structured. Mm-hmm. Like.
The fact that there's so many games... I just wish it had been
structured in a more digestible way.
Yeah, because here's the thing. I doubt you need to see it from the Keyblade wielders. Like, just seeing it from the foreteller's side is more than enough that you need in order to understand what's going to happen in Kingdom Hearts 3. I have no doubt in my mind.
That's probably true, yeah.
So, that's sort of the purpose of these remasters and packagings and all that stuff.
One thing I will say that I think is funny about Unchained Key and how it has framed the whole Keyblade War is, like, if you go back to Kingdom Hearts 2 Secret Ending, and even Birth by Sleep, and you're in the Keyblade Graveyard, and it's like, it's a pretty dark place. It's the Keyblade Graveyard. It's where the Keyblades left behind by all those who died in the Keyblade War are stored. And yet you could go to Unchained Key, and all those people who died are just these apple-cheeked kids. Just, they're cute. They're, have fun-loving kids. They have light in their hearts. They're hopeful about the future. No, they all slaughtered each other, and they're all dead. Like, that's actually really messed up, right?
War is hell, man.
Yeah. Like, and even in back cover, one thing I will say I think about that could have been really improved about back cover is that you should have seen more than just ephemera. Like, you should have seen more Keyblade Warrior wielders running around, interacting with one another, fighting other factions. Like, even in the background.
Yeah.
I think if you just had just a little context.
Daybreak Town was, like,
Yeah.
crazy empty.
And there's nobody there. And so it made it hard to really believe that they were actually the leaders of these factions who were warring, because you never see any of this warring.
Not until
So
the
I feel
very
like
end
that
when
would have
you
been
see
better.
all
Not until the very end.
Yeah. And it's cool to see that at the very end, to see all them interacting, but otherwise, you're right, it is quite empty, and that is the thing. With we get one fight scene throughout the entire hour. The rest is all talking and backstory and everything else. And unfortunately, they do their best to try to keep it engaging the entire time by changing up camera angles and everything else. But, you quickly see that they have, 3 locations that they go.
Yeah, very quickly.
Like, beyond the where the fight scene takes place. And I guess it's the bridge, that back room, the meeting hall, and the fountain. I think those are the 4 locations in back cover.
Oh, and I think there's, Ira's private chambers.
That might be it. Yeah.
And then that's it. Yeah.
So, it's kind of funny to me.
Yeah.
You can see the limitations, but it's understandable why certain things are the way they are, because this is a side project on a packaged game. So,
right, exactly. And I mean, and I'm still, like I said, I'm still happy I spent the hour to watch it. I'm just not, I'm cautiously observing where they take this kind of extended story.
Mm-hmm. Well, any final thoughts on Kingdom Hearts 2.8 as a whole?
Yeah, actually, just that I want to say that Dream Drop Distance really, it looks amazing in 60 frames. And it's very quickly made 1.5 and 2.5 coming out at the end of March, one of my most anticipated releases of the year, because I haven't played Kingdom Hearts 2 since it came out on PS2. I never got around to it on PS3. So the idea of playing Kingdom Hearts 2 and Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep with all this new Final Mix stuff in 60 frames per second, I'm really excited. It does make a difference, I'm telling you.
Mm-hmm. And kudos on Square on the just having all the games or all the story that you need to know on one system.
Finally.
Yeah,
finally.
It sucks for Xbox One people because, apparently Kingdom Hearts 3 is coming out on the Xbox One, so maybe they'll do something for them at some point, but it's being quick. It's pretty easy to tell that the PS4 is going to be the major focus for the release of Kingdom Hearts 3.
Oh, I think the PS4 for all of Square's Japanese side releases, that is clearly the focus and clearly the lead platform.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The Western side stuff is different. Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, that's one thing. But yeah, I mean, it's clear that Square has kind of a relationship with Sony that they don't with Microsoft, straight up.
Yeah. So it's exciting, and I hope we get Kingdom Hearts 3 at some point. But in the meantime, I'm going to be replaying each of these games now that I have all of them. I'm just going to go through and play all of them again and just be completely I know these games like the back of my hand at this point, but it's fun to refresh, because that's what I do whenever a new Game of Thrones book comes out. I read all the previous books and then read the new one.
Yeah, no, I'm glad I wasn't sure if I'd have the time to do that, and I'm glad it's looking like I will, because I wasn't necessarily planning to replay Dream Drop Distance right now, but I am, and I'm loving it. It's been just long enough since I played that game that I don't really remember all the details, so I'm really enjoying going through in HD and 60 frames and really just kind of re-experiencing it. And it's looking like, with the release schedule of 1.5 and 2.5, hopefully I'll be wrapping up Breath of the Wild right around when that comes out. So, I did actually get to replay Kingdom Hearts 1 as part of 1.5 on PS3, so I'm good there. But I hope I can just dedicate a chunk of time to replaying 2 and Birth by Sleep come the end of March, because I agree with you. I really want to re-experience every main series game before 3 comes out. Yeah,
and I was able to play both Kingdom Hearts 1 and Kingdom Hearts 2 on their PS3 releases. I didn't have the time for Birth by Sleep. So I'm looking forward to, getting the Birth by Sleep on the PS4 version.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. All right, I think that covers it for our Kingdom Hearts 2.8 discussion, so thank you for watching, and if you like this video, be sure to like us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplain, and of course stay tuned to GameXplain for more on Kingdom Hearts and other things gaming too. Till next time, bye.